Mr President, the members of the Administrative Committee, state colleagues, federal colleagues, State Council delegates, Liberals one and all. Cindy McLeish, well, not only do I thank you for that very, very generous introduction, although I think Michelle's looking at me saying, how often do you do the dinner, really? But I thank you, Cindy, for your terrific work as Deputy Leader and as Shadow Minister for Education, Regional Cities and Youth. Friends, I am so proud that in our Victorian Parliamentary Liberal Party, we have a leadership team in both houses that is 50% men, 50% women and 100% on merit. That's the way we do. I thank all of my state parliamentary colleagues here today. Their support, their commitment to our cause and their unity has been absolutely exceptional. And we had a very difficult result in November last year, and I will return to that later in my remarks. But I've always believed that you're not beaten when you lose, you're beaten when you quit. And if there's one thing that I know about the men and women of the Victorian Parliamentary Liberal Party that I have the honour to lead, is that they are not quitters. Every single morning they wake up and they go to work determined to fight for Victorians, to fight for our Liberal values, and we are not going to stop until we win. Can I also acknowledge the Deputy Leader of the Victorian Nationals, Steph Ryan, who's here with us today. Steph, you are very welcome here because we know that defeating Labor and electing a government that will govern for the whole of Victoria, not just the tram tracks, that's going to take a team effort. And our friends in the Nationals are a very important part of our partnership, a part of our team, and we are going to work very closely with the Nationals to make sure that we govern for all of Victoria, not just the city limits. Can I acknowledge and congratulate you, Robert Clark, on your re-election as Party President and all of the members of the Administrative Committee. Robert, you are a person of great commitment to our party. Your integrity is unquestionable. And in just 6 months, you, together with our outstanding State Director, Simon Frost, have turned things around at 104 and helped to deliver an extraordinary result at the federal election in May. So thank you so much. We have a united team in Spring Street. We have a united team in Canberra. We have a united team at 104, and this will be the foundations for our success in 2022. Can I also mention how pleased I am that my lovely wife, Michelle, is here with me today. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for all of your love and for your support that lets me do what I do. I appreciate it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is my first address, as Cindy mentioned, to State Council as Victorian Liberal Leader. So I suppose I should feel nervous, but the truth is I feel at home. And I feel at home because, for me, the Liberal Party is home. You are family. In a couple of months' time, I turn 48 years old. I'm not as youthful as our President, who's perpetually youthful, but despite that, and a couple of months after that birthday, 1st of October to be precise, will mark my 30 years of being a proud Liberal Party member. So what motivated a schoolboy from the suburbs to pick up the phone, call Exhibition Street and ask, can you please send me a membership form? Well, I joined the Liberal Party in 1989 because of my family, but not because I was born into a political household. In fact, I was probably the first member of my family to join a party. Around the dinner table, we didn't discuss left and right, but we certainly discussed right and wrong. So I joined the Liberal Party because the values that were instilled to me by my family, values that we share as Liberals. We believe in reward for effort. As Mr Morrison might have said, if you have a go, you'll get a go. We believe in equality of opportunity, treating people as you find them. Everybody deserves a chance to prove themselves. We believe in protecting the vulnerable. We don't like bullies. We believe in looking after those who are doing it tough. We believe in individual freedom and personal responsibility, two sides of the same coin. We believe in those fundamental freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom of association. It's our values that, for the same reason that we want to deliver a strong economy, we also want to preserve a clean environment. Because as Liberals, we believe we have a duty to pass on something better to our children and to their generation. We believe in a safe society and a fair society where all are equal before the law. These are our values, they're Liberal values, they're Victorian values. And back in 1989, I can tell you, Victoria was suffering badly at the hands of the economic disaster that was the Kane-Kerner Labor government. A bad government that didn't share our values. A Labor government that was killing opportunity and hope with taxes, debt and unemployment. There was a real sense of despair around Victoria. And as a young person finishing school at the time, I could see that the future of my state was in the balance. So I did something about it. And just like you, I decided to join the Liberal Party. Because in that battle of values, and that's what politics is, it's a battle of values, I knew which side I was on, and I knew that I wasn't content to be a spectator. Not then and not now. And looking back, the thought that some naive kid from a single parent family in Doncaster who didn't know a single soul in the Liberal Party when he joined up, the thought that that kid is now leading the Liberal Party in the Parliament of Victoria, the party of Balti, well, to me that just says everything that we are the party of opportunity right here. And I will always be grateful to the Liberal Party for that. I'd like to reflect a little on the 2018 state election, which was a very difficult result for us. A Liberal primary vote down to 30.4%. 9 Liberal seats lost in the Assembly, 4 Liberal seats lost in the Council. Some very good MPs, some very good friends lost their seats. Some of them are here with us today. Some very good candidates who put in a lot of work fell short. Now, one thing about politics, it's more volatile than it's ever been before. And while we lost 9 seats last November, if the federal election result just 4 weeks ago had been replicated across the state boundaries, we would have held every single one of those seats. So in just 6 months, we would have turned from losing 9 seats to holding the line. Now on paper, our task in November 22, and given what Tony Nutt said, in reality, our task in 2022 is a mighty one. We need to win 18 seats from Labor to form government. But we should take heart that the federal election results show we are already on the way back, and that our task, while significant, can be achieved. Now, for all the factors that led to the disappointing result for our party at the last state election, and there are a number of them, I can tell you this: our parliamentary team was united in our endeavour. We were innovative in our embrace of new campaigning technology. Not once did we take a backward step in standing up for our beliefs or for those who rely on the Liberal Party to be our voice. And while we are all so disappointed that our return to government has been delayed, nobody was more disappointed than the man who led our state parliamentary team in those 4 years. Because Matthew Guy could not have done more for our party in his time as leader. Yes. Energetic, hard-working, strategic, committed. He took on the challenge of leading the party immediately after our election loss in 2014. As Liberal leader, Matthew helped to change the culture of our party room. We are unified like we have never been before. And Matthew, having been Liberal leader for a little over 6 months, I'm now beginning to understand some of the private sacrifices that you and Renee and your 3 boys made as you led our party over those 4 years. And Matthew, for that, we owe you an enormous debt of gratitude. Matthew Guy. Matthew is a valued colleague, he's a true Liberal, and importantly, he is a great friend, not just to me, but to all of us here. Can I please ask you to acknowledge the wonderful service of our former leader, Matthew Guy. Ladies and gentlemen, for all of our disappointment at the election result, it's the people of Victoria who've carried the greatest burden by the re-election of the Andrews Labor government. They have to wear the lies, the broken promises, the new taxes, the doubling of debt, the waste and the arrogance. Oh, the arrogance. I sit opposite every question time. If arrogance could power a light bulb, our Premier would be a one-man Loy Yang. I would have said Hazelwood, but he shut that down. So what have we actually seen from this government since the election? Well, let me just briefly note three key issues. I could do 30, but let's do 3. Let's start with the East-West link. What is it about Daniel Andrews and the East-West link? The hatred he has for this project is bordering on the irrational. He wasted $1.3 billion of our money to rip up a fully funded contract to build it. He's now knocked back $4 billion from the Prime Minister to build it. I'll tell you something about Daniel Andrews. He's opposed the East-West link more than he's ever opposed John Setka. Premier, the Prime Minister is there. He's got his chequebook. He wants to build it. Who says no to a free road? Now, taking on from what Tony Nutt said before about getting those messages out, I can assure the room here today that those Labor MPs in the eastern suburbs, they should be on notice, because we're coming for you and we're going to hold you personally accountable for your decision to put your Premier's irrational hatred of the East-West link before the interest of your community, because Victoria needs the East-West link. And I think Victorians now know the only way you're going to do it is with a Liberal government here in Victoria. Now, let's look at the West Gate Tunnel, a project conceived by Transurban, designed by Transurban to benefit Transurban, but paid for by CityLink users. Under Labor's deal, Transurban will get $37 billion in tolls for a $4 billion outlay. And who had shares in Transurban while this dodgy deal was being done? None other than Labor Treasurer Tim Pallas. Ripping off CityLink users with higher tolls to pay for a road in the west they may never use. Well, it's Labor's grand theft auto. Now, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday marked the 3-year anniversary of Daniel Andrews standing up before a press gallery conference and saying, "This CFA dispute had to end and I ended it." He ended it how? Well, he hasn't ended it. But he sacked the board. He sacked his own minister, who's standing up for CFA volunteers, and the fight goes on. What is it about Peter Marshall and the United Firefighters Union that Daniel Andrews is prepared to put their interests ahead of the community safety of Victorians? This week, Labor will try to force through its bill, its legislation, to destroy the CFA as we know it. A bill that will marginalise CFA volunteers and make them second-class citizens compared to members of the UFU. A bill that continues Daniel Andrews' war on our CFA volunteers and will put our community at risk. We have already seen nearly 4,000 CFA volunteers leave since Labor was elected in 2014. Planned burning has been cut as a result, leading to greater fire hazards. Our surge capacity, so crucial to our response on Black Saturday, has been diminished. Well, Premier, the Liberals and Nationals know that our CFA volunteers have always got our backs, so we will always have theirs. We will oppose your rotten bill with everything we can muster. And by the way, Premier, don't bother asking for any parliamentary pairs on this bill, because every Liberal and National MLC will be turning up to vote against it and support our CFA volunteers. So we're all deeply disappointed by the election outcome, and we always agree that the public doesn't get it wrong. So maybe we have to look at what we did. And obviously there are issues with campaigns and logistics and fundraising and all those other matters, which will be canvassed in Tony's report. As I've been getting around the state as Liberal leader, and I've been speaking to people, and we actually started a listening tour last week out in Ferntree Gully with Nick Wakeling. And we're going to be taking this around the state because I think our message needs to be broadcast to as wide an audience as possible. You know, I think we need to make sure that people have the opportunity to speak with us, to listen to us, to hear from us, and we have to listen to them. And we need to understand what's on their minds, why they might have voted Labor at the last election, how we can persuade them to come back to us. But one of the things that I have been hearing as I've been moving around is people say, look, we sort of knew what you were opposed to and you didn't like crime, but we weren't always sure what you were for. And to me, that's really tough to hear, because the state parliamentary party spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in creating policies in the last term to tackle the challenges facing this state. And whether it was high-speed regional rail to decentralise population growth, whether it was cutting taxes to ease the cost of living pressures, whether it was the biggest boost to palliative care in Victoria's history, the biggest reform to sentencing laws in 50 years, or reforming our school curriculum and anti-bullying programs, we had policies to make Victoria stronger, fairer, safer and more livable. But if the voters didn't know about the policies, if the campaign didn't tell them, then that's on us, not the electorate. So we need to campaign better, smarter, and we need to start now. And I look forward to working with the admin committee and everyone here to make sure that we can take that Liberal message, the message of our values, the message of what we can do for this state to make it a better place. We want to take this right across Victoria, not in year 4 or in year 3, starting in year 1. So while pointing out Labor's failings is important, and it's a proper role for an opposition, it's not enough. We also need to tell Victorians how we do better. So let me give you one example today. Our road toll this year is the highest it's been in 14 years. Already this year, tragically, 148 Victorians have lost their lives on our roads, 55% more than the same time last year. It's even worse on our country roads. 89 people have lost their lives, 78% increase on last year. Now, these aren't just statistics. These are mums and dads. These are sons and daughters. These are brothers and sisters who aren't coming home and leaving families with a lifetime of trauma. But despite this growing road toll crisis, what has been the response of Daniel Andrews and his Labor government? Labor is slashing the number of roadside breath tests by 400,000. Labor is cutting $2.9 billion from the Transport Accident Commission to prop up their mismanaged budget. And Labor's first decision after the recent election was to abolish the bipartisan Joint Road Safety Committee of the Victorian Parliament. Well, Labor is wrong, Daniel Andrews is wrong, and his bad decisions are putting lives at risk. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that drugs are 3 times more likely to be associated with road fatalities than alcohol. 3 times. Yet under Labor, there's been no increase in drug testing, and penalties for drug driving are softer than those for drink driving. So let me tell Victorians 3 things that I would do as Premier. Today I announced that a Liberal Nationals government will increase the number of roadside drug tests by 1,000 each and every week. That's 52,000 a year. Because drug drivers aren't just a danger to themselves, they're a danger to every road user. We need to track them down and we need to get them off our roads. But we need more. We need more. The penalties for taking drugs and driving should not be softer than for drink driving. So I also announced that a Liberal Nationals government will double the maximum first offence fine for failing a roadside drug test. We'll also increase the maximum first offence fine for driving while impaired by a drug from 12 to 20 units, the same level as for drink driving. Now, third, we all know that speed cameras play an important role in reducing dangerous driving. But motorists deserve to have confidence that the speed cameras are being focused on reducing road trauma, not raising revenue. So I can announce today that a Liberal Nationals government will expand the role of the Independent Road Safety Camera Commissioner, giving the Commissioner a role in setting the locations for speed cameras to make sure they do focus on reducing road trauma, not raising revenue. Because I think that motorists have got confidence in Victorian police, they just don't have confidence in Victorian Labor. Now, we will ensure that reducing road trauma, not raising revenue, is the focus. So there it is, 3 new ideas, positive ideas to tackle our soaring road toll. 1,000 extra roadside drug tests every week, tougher penalties for drug driving, independent assessment of speed camera locations. These are new ideas that will save lives. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a long road ahead of us to the next state election in November 2022. But can I say we've started that journey. We've started it with purpose, with unity and with conviction. Me and my team, we will fight for our shared Liberal values. We will take that message right around Victoria. The federal election results showed us that there are many people in this state who are willing and ready to change their vote. Hard-working people who just want the opportunity to do better for themselves and their kids. Good people who want to live their lives without being dictated to by bureaucrats. Honest people who deserve a government that will back them, not tax them. Fellow Liberals, let's give Victorians what they deserve. Let's give Victorians something better. Let's give them a Liberal Nationals government in November 2022. Thank you.